the comma rules. In the comma rules, you're going to need your comma rules page to be able to do this. So you might want to get that out and have that in front of you. Let's look at the first one. It has 2 rules in it. In addition, the fat may have been used to waterproof skin boots and other clothing. Okay, this is from that interesting article about cavemen and how they used animals. So, in case you're wondering where in the world that idea came from, I was cutting and pasting. In addition is an introductory word, kind of like in addition or yes or well or oh. Words that you kind of tack onto the front like that are not totally necessary. So that would be rule 3. In addition, comma. The other one is waterproof skin, comma, boots, comma, and other clothing. So that would be rule 9, a regular series of things in a row. The next one, grease, comma, which came from the woolly mammoths, comma, may have been smeared over the skin, blah, 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 blah. So this is a dependent clause, and it's not a necessary one because it begins with a relative pronoun. And we said when you have a dependent clause that begins with a relative pronoun, you have to put commas on both sides of it. So that's rule 12. The animal skins were used to make bags, comma, clothes, comma, shoes, comma, blankets, comma, and shelter. Again, that's a number 9. You can write to me at 5871 Malkin Drive, so a comma after the street address, a comma in between city and state, but never between state and zip. Then if your sentence isn't over yet after the address, you put a comma after the whole address so the sentence can continue. You don't put it ever in between month and day, but you do put it between day and year. So the first rule is the dates and addresses rule, which is number 4. But this is a compound sentence. You can write to me at blah, 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 comma, and. So this is an independent clause, and this was an independent clause. You needed a comma between them if you were going to use the coordinating conjunction or the fanboys and. So that one is rule number 1. The boy, comma, not the girl, comma, won the contest. You're being clear that it's him, not her, so that's clarity, rule 10. Comma inside the quotes. And then since the sentence isn't over yet and you're going to continue your quote from over here, you put a comma after Zaroff whispered. This stays lowercase because it's a continuation of the sentence. It's not a new one. So this is quoting, rule 8. Since the movie and the short story are different, comma, we had to compare them for class. This is rule number 2, introductory dependent clause. You have a dependent clause here that starts with a subordinating conjunction, then an independent clause. When the dependent clause comes first, you put a comma between the two. If the independent clause came first and then the dependent clause, you don't need the comma. Brooks Orpik, comma, a Penguins defenseman, comma, played for the American Olympic team. This isn't a positive that renames Brooks Orpik, so it's rule number 5. The press called the Olympic Penguins by the name Olympians, comma, but we are just glad they are back. Compound sentence, so it's rule 1. Sandy, comma, could you please close the door when you leave?
Please excuse the interruption.
So this is rule 4 because you're directly speaking to Sandy. So when you say her name, when you're speaking to her, you put commas around her name. Her name's at the beginning of the sentence, so you wouldn't put a comma there too. The only rule that didn't get used was rule 11, which is adjectives in a series. And that would be a sentence much like number 3 here, but instead of nouns with commas between them, it would be a bunch of adjectives. Like the boy's hamster was cute, comma, furry, comma, and noisy. Finally, we have singular and plural possessive nouns. So let's take a look at the first one. My friend brother is moving to Hollywood. So yes, we need to make this possessive because it's the brother of the friend. First thing you have to do is decide whether that word is singular or plural. Well, it's one brother, so it's one friend. So it's singular, so I wrote it in the singular. Now to make any singular noun possessive, I add apostrophe S. All of their restaurants' kitchens will be updated. All kitchens. So we assume there's more than one restaurant, so I write it in the plural, restaurants. Now to make it the kitchens of the restaurants, I decide whether this plural word ends in S. It does, so I only need an apostrophe. The men's jobs were all very successful. More than one job, more than one man usually. So men, you have to write it in the plural because it's plural. Now I look at it. This plural word does not end in an S. So to make it the jobs belong to the men, I add apostrophe S. Several schools' principals require students to wear uniforms. Several and principals tells me I have more than one school. So I'm going to write it in the plural, schools. Now to make it possessive, I look and see that it ends in an S, so I only need an apostrophe. The turkey beak was bright yellow. One beak, one turkey. Unless we have a mutant turkey, which obviously could be the case, but let's assume we don't. So to make the beak belong to the turkey, first we decide how many turkeys we have. We have one. Any singular noun, if you want to make it possessive, you add apostrophe S. Good luck on your test tomorrow.